As billionaire Elon Musk spotted Marissa Callaway holding a cardboard sign on an Austin street corner, he could have easily driven past, just like everyone else. The slender woman, with weary eyes and worn-out clothes, appeared to be another struggling soul seeking help. Yet something compelled him to stop his car that day. Something about her quiet dignity caught his attention. What began as a simple gesture of kindness would soon transform into an extraordinary journey that would forever alter both their lives. Because as he rolled down his window, Elon had no idea that this desperate mother of three was harboring a profound secret, one that would soon force him to make the most significant decision of his life. No one could have foreseen what would happen next. Elon Musk rubbed his tired eyes as he left the Tesla factory just outside Austin. The sky was turning shades of orange and pink as the sun began to set. It had been a grueling day filled with meetings about new electric trucks, and his head throbbed from hours of discussions about batteries and production timelines. "Take me home," he instructed his self-driving car. The sleek vehicle hummed to life and pulled onto the road. Elon leaned back in his seat, closing his eyes. All he wanted was to get home, eat, and perhaps gaze at the stars through the telescope in his backyard. The car slowed to a stop at a red light. Elon opened his eyes and glanced out the window. That's when he saw her, a thin woman standing on the corner. Her clothes, though clean, were visibly tattered. Her brown hair was pulled back into a simple ponytail. She held a cardboard sign that read, "Single mom, need food for kids." Her face showed exhaustion, but her eyes carried a quiet resilience. Elon had seen many people asking for help on the streets before. Typically, he would look away and keep driving. But there was something different about this woman. She wasn't shouting or waving her arms, nor was she frantically gesturing with her sign. She simply stood there, her gaze meeting each driver's with a sense of dignity. The light turned green, and the car began to move. "Stop," Elon said suddenly. The car immediately pulled over to the side of the road. For a moment, Elon sat still, unsure why he had stopped. He had meetings scheduled for tomorrow, rockets to launch, and cars to build. He didn't have time for distractions. Yet he couldn't tear his eyes away from this woman's gaze. With a sigh, he lowered his window as the woman cautiously approached. "Hello," Elon said. "I saw your sign." The woman nodded, keeping a safe distance from the car. As she stepped closer, Elon noticed her sun-weathered face and the rough, calloused hands that spoke of hard labor. "My name's Marissa," she said, her voice soft but clear. "Marissa Callaway." "I'm Elon," he replied, unsure if she recognized him. Sometimes it was refreshing when people didn't know who he was. "Do you really need food for your kids?" A mix of pride and desperation flickered in Marissa's eyes. "If I didn't, I wouldn't be standing here. I've tried everything." Elon reached for his wallet. "How much do you need?" Marissa shook her head. "I don't want your money, sir. I mean, I do, but what I really need is a job. I've been looking for months." Her voice faltered. "I'm a software developer. I used to be good at it." Elon's interest peaked suddenly. A software developer, standing on a street corner, begging for help. "What happened?" he asked. Marissa looked away, her eyes following the cars passing by. "My husband passed away. Before I lost our home. Before everything fell apart." A car horn blared behind them. Elon's vehicle was partially blocking the lane. "Would you like to grab a coffee or something to eat?" Elon offered. "We can talk more comfortably." Marissa hesitated, her eyes narrowing with suspicion. "I just want to hear your story," Elon assured her. "Maybe I can help. If not, at least you'll get a good meal after standing out there so long." Marissa nodded. "There's a diner just around the corner, but I need to call my neighbor first, she's watching my kids." As they drove the short distance to the diner, Marissa made a quick call, thanking someone named Rita for looking after her children, who were running a bit late. When they arrived, the diner was nearly empty. A bell jingled as they entered, and the air filled with the aroma of coffee and fried food. They slid into a booth by the window. Marissa sat with her back straight, hands neatly folded on the table. "Order whatever you'd like," Elon said, gesturing toward the menu. Marissa requested a grilled cheese sandwich and a cup of soup, immediately asking for a to-go box. She clearly intended to bring the food home for her kids. "How many children do you have?" Elon asked after the waitress left. "3, Marissa replied. "Zara's 7, Leo's 5, and little Tyler is 18 months. "And you're raising them alone?" Marissa nodded, her gaze dropping to the table. "My husband, Daniel, was a veteran. He got sick 2 years ago. The doctors tried everything, but," she swallowed hard. "He passed away last year." "I'm so sorry," Elon said quietly. "Things were okay at first," Marissa continued. "I worked from home as a programmer while caring for him. But the medical bills piled up. Then the company I worked for went bankrupt. Without Daniel's income and with a gap in my work history, I couldn't keep up with the mortgage." Their food arrived. Elon noticed Marissa's eyes widen at the sight of the steaming soup, but she didn't rush to eat. "You mentioned you're a programmer?" Elon asked. "What languages do you know?" A spark lit in Marissa's eyes for the first time. "Python, Java, C++. I specialized in AI applications." Elon raised his eyebrows. "Really? And you can't find work?" Marissa took a small spoonful of soup before answering. "It's complicated. I don't have a permanent address. My laptop was stolen from our car last month. I don't have childcare. And there's a gap in my resume." She met his gaze. "Would you hire someone who's been living in their car for 6 months?" Her direct look challenged him. "Where are your kids right now?" Elon asked. "With my neighbor, Rita," Marissa replied. "She lives at the motel where we park our car overnight. She watches them when Marissa gestured vaguely toward the street. "When I have to do this." "They're there now, at the motel," she added, taking another careful spoonful of soup. "How long has it been since they had a proper meal?" Elon asked softly. Marissa's hand trembled slightly as she set down her spoon. 3 days. I give them most of my food, but it's not enough. That's why I was out there today. I never thought I'd be begging on a street corner. But when your kids are hungry," her voice broke. Something stirred in Elon's chest as he watched her, a proud woman fighting back tears. He thought of his own children, safe and well-fed, who had never known true hunger. "I'd like to meet them," Elon said suddenly. Marissa looked up, startled. "My kids? Why?" "Because I want to help," Elon replied. "Not just with food, but real help." "You don't even know me," Marissa said, her voice barely above a whisper. "No," Elon admitted, "but I'd like to." What Marissa said next caught Elon off guard. "I know who you are, Mr. Musk," she said quietly. "Everyone knows who you are. And I don't need your pity. My kids and I don't need a billionaire's charity, we need a chance." Elon leaned back in his seat, struck by both her recognition and her pride. Most people in her position would have taken any money offered without hesitation. "Tell me more about yourself," Elon said. "How did a software developer end up on that street corner?" Marissa took a deep breath. She carefully broke her sandwich in half, wrapping one portion in a napkin and placing it in her to-go box. "I grew up in Chicago," she began. "My parents didn't have much money, but they valued education. I worked hard in school and earned a scholarship to study computer science. That's where I met Daniel, my husband." Her eyes softened at the mention of his name. Daniel was studying engineering on an ROTC scholarship. He was brilliant and kind. We got married right after graduation. He served 5 years in the military while I worked remotely as a programmer. We saved for a house, planned our future. She paused to sip her water. When Daniel finished his service, we moved to Austin, she continued. The tech scene was booming, and we both landed good jobs. We bought a small house, had Zara, then Leo. Everything was on track. Elon nodded, recognizing the familiar trajectory of young professionals with dreams. So what happened? He asked. Marissa's face darkened. 2 years ago, Daniel started getting headaches, terrible ones. Doctors found a rare form of brain cancer. They said it might be linked to chemical exposure during his service, but they couldn't prove it. She stared at her uneaten sandwich. We tried everything, surgeries, experimental treatments, specialists. Nothing worked. The cancer was aggressive. I was pregnant with Tyler at the time, and Daniel kept getting worse. He passed away 3 months after our baby was born. I'm so sorry, Elon said again, feeling the inadequacy of his words. The medical bills were enormous, Marissa went on. Our insurance didn't cover the experimental treatments. I tried to keep working while caring for a newborn and 2 young kids. But then the startup I worked for went under. Without Daniel's income and with the treatment debts, I couldn't keep up with the mortgage. She straightened her shoulders slightly, as if bracing herself under the weight of her story. I applied for veteran benefits, but there was an issue with Daniel's paperwork. They said his illness couldn't be definitively tied to his service. I fought with the VA for months. But by then, you'd lost the house, Elon finished for her. Marissa nodded. We moved into a cheap apartment, but I couldn't find another programming job that let me work from home with 3 kids. Without childcare, I couldn't take an office job. Without an office job, I couldn't afford childcare. It's a trap. Her voice stayed steady, but Elon could see the tension in her jaw, the effort it took to maintain her composure. We stayed with friends for a while, she added, but you can't do that forever. 6 months ago, we ended up in our car, a beat-up Honda Civic, not exactly spacious for 3 kids and a 5-year-old stuff, but it runs. Most nights, we park at the Blue Moon Motel. The manager lets me use their address for mail, and there's a kind woman named Rita who watches the kids sometimes when I look for work, or when, her voice faltered, when I have to beg. Elon watched her closely. There was no self-pity in her tone, just a matter-of-fact recounting of her circumstances. What about family, parents, siblings? He asked. My parents passed away years ago. I was an only child. Daniel had a brother, but he's got his own struggles. He can barely take care of himself, let alone help us. She took another small bite of her sandwich, chewing slowly, as if savoring it to make it last. The hardest part is watching the kids adjust to all this. Zara understands too much. She's so serious now, always trying to help me, to be brave. Leo asks at least once a day when we're going home. And Tyler, her voice quivered. Tyler has never known a real home, just the car and motel rooms. Elon thought of his own children, their cozy bedrooms filled with toys, their lives secure and abundant. Zara used to take dance lessons, she loved ballet, Marissa continued. Leo is obsessed with space and rockets. She gave Elon a small smile. He'd lose his mind if he knew I was talking to you. He has a book about SpaceX he found at a little free library. The pages are falling out, but he reads it every night. A pang tightened in Elon's chest, a child reading about rockets in a car that doubled as his home. What about you? Elon asked. What did you focus on as a programmer? Marissa's eyes lit up again. AI applications, specifically machine learning algorithms. My last project before the company shut down was developing predictive models for sustainable energy implementation. She hesitated. It was actually for solar panel efficiency, something your companies might find useful. Elon raised his eyebrows, impressed despite himself. I haven't given up, Marissa said firmly. I go to the public library when I can to use their computers, trying to keep my skills sharp. I apply for jobs online, but without a permanent address or reliable childcare, she shrugged. Most hiring managers see the gap in my resume and move on. What's your plan now? Elon asked. I'll keep trying, she replied simply. What else can I do? My kids deserve better. She gathered her things, preparing to leave. Thank you for dinner, Mr. Musk. I need to get back to my children. Elon nodded, still processing everything she'd shared. As they walked back to his car, he asked, would you show me where you're staying? Where your kids are? Marissa stopped walking. Why? I want to help, he said. Really help, not just buy you dinner. I told you, we don't need charity, she said, her voice tense. Giving someone a chance isn't charity, Elon replied, echoing her earlier words. You said you're a programmer specializing in AI and machine learning. Those are skills my companies need. Marissa stared at him, suspicion and hope battling in her expression. Are you offering me a job? I'm offering to meet your kids and see your situation for myself, Elon said carefully. Then we can talk about what comes next. After a long moment of consideration, Marissa nodded. The motel is about 10 minutes from here. As they drove through the dark streets, Elon glanced at Marissa's profile. She sat upright, hands folded in her lap, staring straight ahead. There was a quiet dignity about her that struck him. What Marissa hadn't told him, what she couldn't bring herself to say, was the doctor's visit she'd had a week ago, the headaches that started 2 months prior, reminiscent of Daniel's early symptoms, the preliminary scan that revealed a shadow where there shouldn't be one, the devastating diagnosis she'd received, mirroring her husband's, and the paralyzing fear that kept her awake at night. What would happen to her children when she was gone? The Blue Moon Motel was a faded 2-story building with peeling blue paint. A flickering neon sign cast an eerie glow over the nearly empty parking lot. Elon noticed an old Honda Civic with a taped-up rear window parked at the far end. That's our car, Marissa said, following his gaze. We sleep in it when we can't afford a room. Elon frowned. Where do you all fit? The kids sleep in the back seat. I recline in the driver's seat, she said matter-of-factly, without a hint of complaint. They ascended the outdoor stairs to the second floor. Marissa knocked on the door of room 217. An older woman with gray hair tied in a messy bun opened it. You're back early, Rita said. Then she noticed Elon, her eyes widening. Rita, this is a friend who wanted to meet the kids, Marissa explained. How are they doing? They're fine. Leo's showing Tyler his space book again. Rita cast a wary glance at Elon before stepping aside. The motel room was small but tidy, dominated by 2 double beds. On one bed sat a serious-looking girl with dark braids, clutching a worn teddy bear. On the floor, a young boy with tousled brown hair was showing a picture book to a toddler, who was trying to grab the pages. Mommy, the boy shouted when he saw Marissa. He jumped up and ran to her, wrapping his arms around her legs. Rita's toddler wobbled after him, arms outstretched. Marissa knelt down, hugging both boys. I missed you too. Were you good for Ms. Rita? The girl stayed on the bed, watching Elon with tired eyes. Zara, Leo, Tyler, this is Mr. Musk, Marissa said, standing with the toddler on her hip. He bought us dinner. She held up the to-go box from the diner. I brought you each half a sandwich. Are you the Rocket Man? Leo asked, staring at Elon with wide eyes. From my book. Yes, that's him, Marissa confirmed. Leo's jaw dropped. He dashed to the bed, returning with a tattered book titled Rockets in Space, The Future of Exploration. Several pages hung loose. Is it really you? Leo asked, his voice full of awe. The man who makes rockets. Elon crouched to Leo's level. That's me. Do you think people will live on Mars someday? Leo's eyes sparkled with excitement. I believe they will, Elon replied. Maybe you'll help make that happen. I want to build a rocket too. Leo declared. But Mom says I have to finish kindergarten first. Marissa smiled, handing half a sandwich to Zara, who still hadn't spoken. Thank you for the food, sir, Zara said quietly, her eyes fixed on Elon's face. Something in her solemn expression reminded Elon of his own childhood, of being a kid who understood too much, who carried grown-up worries. Tyler squirmed in Marissa's arms, reaching for the food. She set him on the bed, breaking the sandwich into tiny pieces. Rita watched from the doorway. I need to go, my shift starts soon. After she left, Marissa turned to Elon. This is our life, she said softly. It's not much, but we're together. Elon surveyed the small room, the children eating their sandwiches, the few belongings neatly stacked in a corner, the car keys on the nightstand, their only true shelter. He thought of his own sprawling home, his factories, his rockets. The contrast was stark. This concludes our narrative journey. I trust you found this gripping saga of intrigue, cutting-edge innovation, and astonishing discoveries captivating. From where are you tuning in today? I'm curious to learn which corner of the globe this tale has touched. If this escapade held your interest, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for a steady stream of compelling, mind-expanding stories just like this one. Fresh material is posted frequently, ensuring you're always in the loop for the newest spellbinding adventures. Be sure to pass this video along to your loved ones and friends. It's a great way to share positivity and insight while expanding our circle of story enthusiasts. Your encouragement is invaluable. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to welcoming you back for the next tale.